The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
To my first YouTube video. Today I'm going to be explaining and going over the 5 top moving stocks today in the US stock market. I have 2 pre-markets and then we have 3 intraday trades that were highly moving, and I'll go over all 5 of them and show you where were some possible entries, some possible resistance levels, support levels, why we were looking at these particular stocks, because in the stock market there's thousands and thousands of different stocks to trade. So why did we pick 5 out of those millions? So yeah, today we're going to begin with ZCMD in pre-market at about 7 a.m. New York Standard Time, or Eastern Standard Time, sorry. You see here, we have a resistance level forming in the pre-market hours at about 238, right about here, okay? This is going to be marked by the yellow lines. And you have a support level marked right here, 215. Basically, if you don't know, resistance level is where it's resisting, it's not willing to go up, because you see here, let me see if I can zoom in. You see here we have a high of 237 and another high of 237, and we're not going above the 238, so that means there's a resistance level. However, looking here at 217, we go down and we have a pop right here below at 217, but we're not going to keep on moving below. Same thing here, we go up a little bit, we come to like the resistance level of 238, and then we have the support level being touched again and being tested again at 217. So those are 2 key values that we want to look at, because you see here from about 6:17 to about 7 o'clock or 6:55, we have the stock's kind of moving sideways, and there's not that much volume. As you see here, there's only about 15,000 shares per candle. So that's not something we're really into, but we're going to keep a lookout for it because it was moving the other days pretty rapidly. You see here in the after hours, it's going pretty well. That's a 200% or 100% jump, if not 200. So it was on our radar, but now you see right here at 6:56, we break through a resistance level of 238. So typically, being pre-market, we're only allowed limit orders. So I would either have a limit order set at 238 right above that resistance level that was formed right here, and right here. Or I would set it a little bit above at 240 because it's a logical resistance level. 240 sounds a little bit better than 238, And so if we bought in here at 240, we would have maintained that, and we would have kept it. We would have got in right here, and we would have kept it until we rode out, or preferably right here. If not, we could sell here, but that would be a little bit risky. What we would like to do is try to take profit or even add, because you see here, we don't fall back below that 240. So if we were to enter here, we would set like a logical resistance level of maybe 238, or 237, because you see the stock doesn't proceed to go above that 237 level right here. Right about here. So technically we would want to have that as our logical resistance level. And if we have that, then we wouldn't panic sell right when it goes red, because you see it goes red, but that's not a sign to sell necessarily. I mean, yeah, it's red, okay. But if we look here at our MACD's open. The white line's open, the red line's the close, or yeah. A lot of people have different colors, but this just makes it easier for my eyes, okay? And you see we have a strong TTM squeeze and like momentum-ish, and we have decent volume. We have about, let's see our volume level right here. We have about 151,000 buyers, my bad. And here, yes, it dips down, but in the next one, we just confirm and we rise up again. So it's pretty perfect. And you see, we don't drop down at the 237 level. We keep on going up, and preferably, you might want to add here, you might want to take off here, you might want to sell a little bit, but there's no given reason to sell like off completely. Like why cap yourself out right here when you could make another 10 cents or 20 cents of profit right here, you know. So don't try not to limit yourself. So that was ZCMD at about 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to look at another stock that went up during that, which I believe should be here. It's going to be NIO. Okay. Now this stock had a rough morning. If we can find it, or rough intraday trade. So it popped off on my scanners at about 8:55-ish. Yes, right here, 8:53. Okay, so we see this sideways movement of at $7.50, and you see it's moving sideways. It's nothing interesting. However, I picked it up on my news scanner, so that's why it seemed a little bit interesting to me. But you see here, we're just moving sideways. It's not something that we would typically trade in here because it's only moving up by like 30,000 shares, you know, 30,000 buyers, 10,000 sellers. So it's not something that's really appealing. However, here, when we break that resistance level, same with ZCMD, we break that resistance level of $7.50, and then bang, we go up and we move higher and higher. See, right about here, we have about 907,000 buyers. If you don't know where I'm looking right here where my mouse is. Look, see, you hover over the candle, you have 290,000 buyers and 51,000 sellers. That's pretty good. Not only that, but your MACD is open and your TTM squeeze is light blue. You know, the brighter the colors, the better. You know, you just want your Christmas tree lit up. You know, if you just have a Christmas tree, it's kind of lame. But if you have like a lit Christmas tree with a little bit of lights, even if it's just plain white lights, there's a little bit of sparkle and it just brings you a little bit more joy. So that's what you want. You want bright colors, bright Christmas tree. You don't want dark, gloomy Christmas tree because, you know, we're not the Grinch. And I mean, it's coming into Christmas season and we're going to skip over October a little bit, but oh well. So here we go over a resistance level of $7.50, sorry. And we go up here and we hit 760. So ideally, you might want to buy in here and have a logical resistance level of that 750. You know, so if we drop down, if let's say this candle were to immediately drop, you know, you would be stopped out at 750 and not, you know, 740. And then you would take profit at 760 right here at 10 cents, ideally, or somewhere in here. Or I mean, you can do it anywhere in here. I mean, it's all right, but ideally here, or, you know, you might think it keeps on going up, and I mean, you can see it in retrospect, but in the moment, you might not see this candle appearing. But key giveaway was the lower volume in here. So that's a key giveaway right there. Moving on, you see this candle formed another resistance level. So our 750 was basically marked out to not be relevant anymore. So let's remove that. And we had a new resistance level forming at 761 because you see here, we can't cross at 760, not yet. We cross it a little bit right here, but we can't manage to go above that 761 because we have no volume. Nobody wants to trade this. We're like, it's pre-market, you know, we're waiting for our market open, which is like in 30 minutes. So, you know, people are just chilling, not wanting to trade. We want to take it easy, not take too much risk on, you know, this stock that's only trading at like 30,000, 100,000 shares of volume. Now, you see here, same thing as before, and with ZCMD, we break above that 761 right about here. At about 806, right above here. So ideally you would want to take a trade somewhere into here at 762, 763, somewhere about there. And you would have your ideal stop loss at the low of the previous candle. So that's only, I mean, for here, this is a perfect example of 1 cent of, you know, stop loss. But, you know, usually it's like maybe 5 cents, 10 cents. It changes. So don't always set your stop loss at like just 1 cent. You'll most definitely 99% of the time get stopped out. But moving on, you see here, we cross through 761. We have a little pause, just test the waters. But this right here, this candle is what we call a hammer. We're hammering out a new resistance level right here at 769. Funny number. But so we're hammering out another or support level, sorry. We're hammering out a resistance level support and we're changing it into support. That's what a hammer means. When we have the bigger end of the candle and we have the little wick. So just imagine like a little hammer, like a Donkey Kong's hammer. I think Donkey Kong has a hammer. Correct me in the comments down below if I sound like an idiot right now, but oh well. So yeah. And then once that gets confirmed at 769, we bounce up and we go into right here at 778. So from 761, that's 18 shares of profit. And if you had a stop loss, you would only have a stop loss of 1 cent. So that's a 18-to-1 profit loss ratio, which is pretty decent. I mean, this is not going to always happen in all cases, but it's a good example of support and resistance level. And I mean, always check your MACD. Your MACD is open here in this case, but in some examples that I'll show later today during the intraday trade, they worked. Now, moving forward, I didn't trade this because immediately right when our market opens, you have the absolute downfall of the stock. Yeah, it pops up a little bit, but there's more interesting things to trade. Which brings me on to UXIN. So this was traded right here in the opening hours. Okay, let me get set up right here. So what I had is I looked at the pre-market trades, and I had a resistance level set right here at 627, because you see here, as mentioned before with NIO and ZCMD, it didn't go above this number. So there's no reason of like buying and hoping it would go above this number when obviously you see it just collapses. It's like a landslide. If you were to buy here at 268 or 618, you lose 40 cents a share. Yes, it goes up, but why risk 40 cents a share when you could be waiting for a more like a perfect setup? Not perfect, because nothing's perfect in life. Not me, not you, nobody. But looking for an almost perfect setup. Like, it's the MACD's close. We're in the red. Like I said before, the Christmas tree, you don't want it dark and gloomy. You want it bright. You want it bright colors. Like, there's no reason to mess around. So that's why I set a logical resistance level at 625, and I had a support level at about 605, because if it was going to go below 605, I wasn't going to pay attention to this. Like, we're 3 minutes into the stock market, like the actual day trading, and it wasn't worth it to me. If it goes below that, I know it's going to be dead because it didn't maintain above 20 cents above that during the pre-market. So why would it go above there? But I kept an eye out, and I entered a little bit in here at the start when I noticed at 576. So, this was a little bit of a risky trade right when there was volume. However, I then sold at right here at 623. Let me mark it up for you guys. So I bought here at 6 on the lower of this candle here at 583 because we were going above here, and then I sold about here at 623. But this isn't a perfect setup. What I did later on is I came here, and as we were approaching this lower of this candle, I had an inkling, because look at this. Our MACD is open. Our TTM squeeze is light blue. We have buyers on the volume side. So I had a feeling. I mean, when you're doing this for a decent amount of time, and you're not stressed out with a million things, you just get a feeling, like a tingly feeling, like a giddy feeling. And that's why I bought here at 618 with a logical stop loss at 605. It's 10 cents of stop loss. So compared to NIO, where we had 1 cent of stop loss, this one's 10 cents. So like I said, everything changes. You got to, adapt to not lose so much. However, I bought at 618. What did it go? What's this number right here? 680, 682. And I sold along the way and added along the way. I think I sold at 638, and then I bought again right about here. Like, come on. That's a perfect 2-to-1 profit loss ratio if I were to, when I bought here at 618 and I sold at 238. So that's perfect. And then I sold again right here at this plateau. However, I changed my resistance level because you see we broke through it. So this now becomes irrelevant. We're going to delete that. And we're going to set a resistance level at 687, and we're going to set a support level at 614. Okay. Now, here it's a big distance, okay? It's a big distance, I know, okay? But 685 resistance level. We drop down below, but we don't drop down far enough, and we go above, and we're maintaining above pre-market high. This little blue dashed line is pre-market high, okay? And because we maintain above that, it's still on my radar. You know, I'm not going to drop it right away, right when it goes red and flushes red. And like I mentioned before, in NIO, this is a hammer. So we're kind of hammering out a resistance level and a new support level, okay? And that's what we did. That's exactly what we did. I entered right about here at 682, right about here, 682, because look, see, our MACD's open, we're light blue, we're green, you know, we're green. At least we have a little bit of selling here. 25% of volume is sellers, but there's no reason, they're not in control. Like, compared to here, buyers are in control. Sellers are not really in control. So we buy here at 682 and we sell at about 729. So that's a 40-cent profit on a stock, okay? And then I come in here and I buy this breakout or from this pullback, like right here. This is a little bit risky, but I was feeling myself today. Okay, I don't know if you guys ever do that. Like you feel yourself, you feel like, oh yes, in the morning I got my first win, and I was like, you know, we're gonna keep on making this winners. I did lose a little bit of money going up into here because I added when it was going up, and I think I sold on the downside. However, I shouldn't have because we didn't go below the stop loss, so I really shouldn't have. I should just sold right here, or at least try to, but you know, we have slippage and nothing in the world's perfect. You know, I'm not Houdini. And then I wasn't paying attention. I was working on something else at the time. So this just goes to show you that we should always focus on one thing at a time. Our mock deal was closed. We're losing a little bit of TTM squeeze, and I entered about right here, I believe. Let me get my marker out so I can show you guys. I entered about right here at this, oh no, that's wrong. I entered about right here at this breakout because I didn't pay attention and I didn't catch this one right here. So I was like a little bit of FOMO, but thankfully it worked out in my favor. It doesn't always work like that, so you know, you don't want to test your luck too much, but I'm just going to show you just as an example, because you know, we learn from every little thing. You know, if we catch our mistakes, we learn from them, and hopefully you learn from mine. So we go up here, and I buy about 714, so on the higher end, and yeah, I sell right here at the high with no slippage, thankfully, which was at about $7.30. So I didn't make 20 cents of profit or 16 cents of profit, but that could have gone way bad, and I could have ended up at 6.98 and you know, lost 20 cents. So it's that one wasn't a really good trade in my opinion. There was a lot better things that I could have done. Now that's the third stock that we traded today, and fourth we have XHG, which was a little bit it went up later in the day. However, I didn't have a chance to catch it. I was working on something at the meantime, and I was in a lecture, and I couldn't focus. I was trying to listen to this attention management class, go figure, and I was trying to do this at the same time, so it was a little bit conflicting. But I noticed this in the pre-market hours. It was going up. It was on news for like the highest moving stock in pre-market, I believe. Excuse me, or something like that. However, I wasn't able to trade at pre-market because I had to walk to school. Yes, and so yeah. Then we looked here in our intraday trade, and I was like, okay, let me just keep this on my radar, because I know it went up, and we're gonna see if it tests it again. So as you see, it went down right here. We have this pullback. You know, this is basically textbook pullback, I guess, right here. But we have a little bit of a reversal, and then we have a scoop down. So this is what we technically call a head and shoulders. We have like a little head right here, pretend a little doodle bob, and then we have our shoulders, and we move up right here. So I entered a little bit late in this trade, but I'm gonna show you how I should have entered. I mean, it's easy to look back retrospectively, but I mean, in the moment, it's a little bit different. So I had a resistance or support level right here, and I had a resistance level right here about 180, because that's a logical. Wow, that's loud. I had a logical resistance level right here at 180, because that makes the most sense, in 155-ish right here. And so we broke that, and I had another resistance over here because we tried to test $2.01, and then I had another one right here. So those are 4 things that I had in mind. Yes, it's a lot of things to have in mind, but it's good to look back and see history and apply it now, because that's how we learn a lot of things, like I'm doing right now. We look back at the history, we learn, we move forward. So we had a resistance level right here at 179. We broke that. Okay, buy. Typically at, like, let's say 180, 183. I'm looking right about there. And so we buy at 183. We maintain. It doesn't go back to this level. So I add at 203, I believe. Yes, 203. And then we keep on moving up. We have volume. Our market is open. We have a light blue. Our Christmas tree is lit up every single color of the rainbow. So there's no reason to sell. Just add. We bought here, added here, and I maintained here as we go above the pre-market, because going above your pre-market high is a really not detrimental, but like it tests the water. It's like a really quick water test. Like you dip your toes in the water, and if it goes above, then you see we have a little bit of movement, but it can't maintain above this level right here. It just doesn't want to at 270. So yeah. And then we sell. I think I sold. Where did I sell? I sold right here at 265. So I didn't maintain it all the way because I noticed this doji or indecisive candle, and it was a little bit sketchy for me. So I lost out like on maybe 10 cents of profit. But I mean, from here 179 to 263. I mean, come on. I made 90 cents of profit. So why should I stick out for? I mean, another 10 cents. Yeah. But it just wasn't worth it for me, especially after this whole ride-up. It just doesn't make sense. And so I believe this stock, yeah, I made another bounce right here, but I just didn't manage. But I'll show you what we could have done. We could have had a resistance level at about 227. I'm looking right here again. If you don't see my numbers right here, I'm going to click again. And 227. And we had a support level at 211. So because this candle didn't go below, I had a feeling it was going to go up. I mean, yes, our MACD is red, and yes, we're here, but you could have anticipated something happening right here. So we have a 227. I wouldn't enter right here. This is a little too conflicting. It's in favor of the sellers. That's the body of the candle right here is in favor. Like the weight is down, so it's a little bit chunky. It's a little bit bottom heavy. It's got we don't really want it bottom heavy. We typically want it that's not a good drawing. We typically want it top heavy, like here for example, or something like that, which is like this. You see, it's all full. It's healthy, and so typically I would buy about right here at 237. Sorry, 237, and we go immediately up to 294. So from 237 right here to 294, 60 shares of profit. You would probably take off as you go up and up and up, and probably cap out right here, because immediately, even though your MACD opens, immediately favors your sellers, and we go back down the rabbit hole. So yeah, and then you have a little pops and pops and pops, but it just doesn't work out. And then look at this, it went back to 29 cents. So from the high of day, which was $3, it dropped to 29 cents. That's wild. Now, with that bad note, we're going to move on to another stock that just shows you how news just works. This is why I use news on so many levels. It's useful. So I had news that this stock was popping off a little bit right about here, because we had about 21,000 shares of volumes all of a sudden, 60,000, or hold up, let me see here. No, sorry. We had 11,000 shares of volume. So it just popped up on my scanner, and we had another 21,000 shares of volume, and it was halted on news. So I have a scanner that scans for halt. So it was halted at 9:33, I believe, right above pre-market high, pending news. So what I did and what I typically do, however, I don't encourage, unless you're familiar with the market and everything, but just test it in a simulator first and then see if I'm right, because not everything that I say is the golden goose or like the golden egg of rules. So it was pending right here. Right here it was pending at 9:33. Pending news. So we waited 10 minutes, and I had a limit order set right here. I bet about 3. What time was it? 3. Or no, what was it level? 358. So I had a buy order or limit order at 358 and multiple by 1 cent, because sometimes they'll skip up. So it would be here at like 340, and then it would just bounce back up right here, and it would just skip all these numbers in between. So that's why sometimes I have like 1 cent increments, just so I can like make sure I get it. And what I notice is that when there's news pending, typically if it's good news, or depending on what the news is, and if it's moving up, our momentum is going to go up. Typically, if we have like a halt on the downward side, we're going to go down. But here we have our upward halt, and it's pending on news. So I assumed it was going to go higher, which thankfully it did, but that doesn't work out like 100% of the time. But so we have here at 352 pre-market high. So we go above that, we break that. So that becomes our new resistance or support level at 350. Okay. So that's our tester. That's our basically our midpoint. If it goes below that, then we sell. Thankfully it didn't, and we rode it up until, so from 365, we rode it up to $4.53. 90 cents of profit right there. Bang. So ideally you might want to add a little bit, maybe sell a little bit, or add whatever still you're liking. And then this was my big sell-off. I sold thankfully at $4, and when did I sell? I ended up selling it at about 453 on the upside, which was, like I said, a really good thing. And then we dropped, so it was really thankful that I sold it all off right here. But sometimes that doesn't necessarily happen. And then throughout the day, it just tumbles and tumbles, and yes, we break out a little bit through here, but it just wasn't interesting. We had 2,000 shares of volume, so there was no point of really entertaining it too much. I was just mainly focused on that news release and the halt, which happened early in the market, thankfully. So that's about it. If you have any suggestions of how I should go on with this, or how I should make these videos a little bit more interactive, please let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your evening. I hope you learned something. I hope you at least gained one thing from today. But yeah, enjoy.